WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively into another football week around here, but there are other sports, and I know the Orioles are winding down right now, and the Terps are all the rage down in College Park, at least until they have to start playing Big Ten games. But there is golf happening, and golf locally happening, and love our friends over Classic 5, and we try to mix and mingle around here. We'll go down to Mount Pleasant, but this guy's been at other courses in the Classic 5 community. He's always a fun guest to have on to preview not just the President's Cup this weekend, but also a pretty cool two-man tournament going on over at Mount Pleasant, where I used to freeze my ass off with Gene Ubriaco in the ice rink. Ed Miller joins us now from Classic 5 and inside the City Links. What's going on, Ed? How you been, man?
I'm doing great, Nestor. Thank you so much for having me again. Beautiful, beautiful morning here in Baltimore.
I look behind you on the Zoom and I see all these official writings and stuff. It's tough being a golf pro, right? You got a lot of things, you got moving parts going on around there, lessons to give, people to get on
constantly moving. Absolutely.
You always take time to look at the bigger picture. I know you're not just a player and a pro, all of you, but you love the game. Even on the weekends when you're out there teaching, you're keeping an eye on what's going on, how people are doing. The President's Cup's a unique thing because it doesn't happen often, right? I mean, every time it happens, somebody like you has to come and explain it to me. But down in Charlotte, this is one of those things that happens every couple years, but it's a big deal in golf.
Absolutely. President's Cup, not quite as big as the Ryder Cup, but the same concept, but absolutely something that the players look forward to. It's great television and usually an exciting format.
Well, obviously being over here, I mean, the thing moves all over the world, right? It was in Australia before or whatever.
Yeah.
So for you with these sort of outlier things that don't have as much to do with money, although they do, as much as pride, and we've talked about all the politics of live golf and all of that stuff, where do these events and these Ryder Cups sort of fit into all of this, aside from majors and masters and winning gobs of dough by being the best golfer you can be?
Well, the unique thing about the President's Cup is it's kind of like the little brother to the Ryder Cup. But I would say that most of the players, based on what I've read and heard, they'll rank the Ryder Cup, President's Cup, right in between the majors and the actual tour stuff. So obviously they're not playing for millions of dollars, but if you're fortunate enough to be one of the top 10 or 12 players on your side that get picked for the President's Cup team, it's a huge honor and definitely ranks up there almost as good as winning a major for those guys.
Well, the politics come right into this, right? With Mickelson and everybody, and Norman, those guys running off. It's going to change the face of it for now. I mean, who knows how this thing all sorts out when it's all over with. Where my politics stand, I'm pretty down the middle where I would play it with, murdering journalists. I'm not a big fan of that. But that being said, it's changing this, right? And it's going to change golf. What we've seen here in the last 6 months, really since the last time you and I have gotten together, this thing's gotten more and more fractured, right? And we don't really know what's going to happen, much probably like my dad did with the AFL and the NFL back in the 60s, right?
Yeah. You hit it right on the head. Absolutely. It's absolutely it's hit the President's Cup a little bit more, I would say, just because I believe the international team lost 4 or 5 players that are now playing on the live, and the Americans have only lost 1. But it definitely shook it up a little bit. We're going to have 8 rookies on the international side. No telling how good their team could have been had the players not kind of branched off to the live tour. So, it's just definitely going to keep it in the news world for the next couple of months. And we'll see what happens this week when they actually play the President's Cup.
It's interesting. These Saudi, kings come in here and throw all this money at it. And we're over here in Towson and in Baltimore debating these issues. But there's no doubt that, that the golf side of this, more internationally than any other sport, has been involved in this political debate that brings it to the, I'm a PGA guy. I've always been a PGA. I mean, is that sort of, do you feel that on a golf course when people are out talking about it? Because it feels to me like you can't even really watch this new tour. Yeah. It's a money thing, but it's not accessible in any sort of way where when the PGA comes back and goes up the hill here a couple of years from now, that's still not going to be the biggest thing going. I think the PGA is too big to fail, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And that's probably one of the hardest things facing live right now, is that nobody can actually really watch it, or at least the numbers are very small. but I do think that this is going to help change golf, I guess, to the positive side. You're going to see a lot more money involved in the golf. The PGA Tour will start eventually spreading it down the list to take care of all of its players, not necessarily the top 10 players in the world. So some of that'll work, but we'll see how long this live tour lasts. And you are right. It's kind of weird at work. It is definitely it's a more of a hot topic than you realize, because people are definitely split. There are very few people in the middle. It's either they support the players on the live or they don't. So it is going to be neat to watch over the next couple of months. See what happens in the courts.
We're capitalist society, and people say, where do you get your money? Well, back in the days, like the mafia, be like, oh, we don't touch that money. That's not, we can't take. But so it is fascinating, because we are, I would say, you earn all you want to earn, right? I mean, I'm not against that, but then there's a conscience part of this. Then there's a reality part of, are you really trying to put the PGA out of business? So like that, to me, that's not realistic, right? That the Masters and these other tournaments aren't going to be what they are. So I think anytime, look, man, I've been a pioneer in taking the arrows myself in the past, but I do find it sort of sad for golf that, it's become the topic this year, as opposed to every other year we'd just be talking about the President's Cup and saying, hey, great golfers are playing. It's here in America this time around.
Yeah.
So for you, I want to ask you about your tournament, because you have a big thing going on here locally, because this has nothing to do with making millions of dollars or politics, just for the love of golf, right? And people that play golf. You have a tournament going on here now next week, right? And this is the time of the year, I think, where you've been hitting the ball all year. You feel like you're playing well, probably, right?
Yeah,
this is the time of year. Weather's still going to be good here this weekend. That your courses, like you and all the Classic Five, put together pretty cool things for people that are regulars, right?
Absolutely. Number one, usually the golf courses are in the best condition this time of year. Kind of like you said, most players have had the whole season to kind of work on their game and play. So this usually through October, this is it. This is like what you work for all season. And as far as the 2-man here at Mount Pleasant, it is great to give back and let some of the local golfers compete. But it's also a tournament that has almost 50 years history. So it's great to get it back. We haven't done one since COVID.
Tell me about it.
Started.
Qualifying, playing, like what? Because I've often wondered this, and I guess this is going to a bigger question where I give you the gotcha question for the day. What is the biggest deal in the state to play if you're an amateur, or if you're out and you really can hit it? What are the goals other than getting a card or getting on the tour or something that may feel unrealistic? I often think to myself, if I were in a band, how big would I want my band to be? If you're not playing Madison Square Garden, what are you playing? But if you're a serious golfer this time of year, tournament play, other than playing for cash on the backside or whatever it is, but playing for honors and playing tournaments to win a tournament, to get a trophy, what are, because this is the biggest thing you're doing at your club, right?
Yeah, it's at least this year. Well, we've been fortunate here at the Baltimore Municipal Golf Corporation. We've actually run a summer series in the past for all the local golfers, individual tournaments, match play tournaments, team competition. Since COVID, we haven't done it, so it's been 3 years. So this is the first one we're bringing back. But if you are a local golfer and you want to test yourself, you're always looking for tournaments that have a little bit of history. Like I said, our tournament series has been around for a while. You want to compete against some of the best local golfers. So ultimately, I like to consider our series of events maybe the next to top level. There are a couple of statewide events run by the Maryland State Golf Association that you would want to compete in. But if you're a local guy and you don't get to travel as much, we run a nice tournament series that you can compete against all the golfers in this area and put it up on the wall, get a trophy, and hopefully be a part of history.
But there is a way to say I'm the best golfer in the state this year by winning a tournament, right? Like there is a Masters of Maryland, right? I don't know from this. And listen, I feel this way about beer league softball and about volleyball tours. I'm like, so what do you get when you win, and who do you compete against? And is there a regional? Is there a state? But I would just think from club to club, when I hear about a 2-man at your club over Mount Pleasant, I'm thinking to myself, this is probably the Super Bowl at your place, right? For the year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this tournament's been going on for a long time. We've been fortunate enough to have some great winners in the past that have gone on to win other big time tournaments, statewide and nationally. So this is a good competition. It's fun, and like you said, this is something that usually it builds up for, and guys have been talking about for the last month. So hopefully, we'll get some good weather, and these guys will get to put the tee in the ground and settle it on the golf course here soon.
Ed Miller likes to settle it on the golf course. He's over Mount Pleasant working with the Classic 5. And you get around, wherever you're Carroll, you can go to any of these forests. You can go to these places. I got one right up the street here with these newfangled driving video.
Yeah.
And I was out there for this. And, my wife's always talking about picking up the club. I threw my back out again the other day doing yoga. I got to watch that L4, L5. It's tricky down there. It's stenosis going on.
No doubt.
But working some golf and going at there's a whole new thing that I was exposed to out on the range. I remember the range, just a bucket of balls, me and my kid, $5, and we just hit it as far as we could. It's a whole different world, man. I mean, if you want to improve your game, I mean, if you care enough to play enough to want to get better, and most people, I mean, if you go out there and you hit it like crap, you want to play better, or you won't keep playing, right? But one of the ways to get better and work on your game and measure, there's a whole new way of doing this than sitting in some warehouse hitting it into like a screen, right?
Absolutely. The new top tracer at Pine Ridge, again, you've hit it right on the head, Nestor. But yeah, it's great. I mean, number one, you can practice. It'll help give you some, if you want it, the scientific numbers to help you improve your swing, find out how you're hitting the ball, path, swing speed, stuff like that.
Some of us don't want to know how we're
hitting. Yeah, I was gonna say some don't want to know. But
it looked like 220 to me. What the hell you mean that's 160?
Well, you can always blame it on the range ball, Nestor. Say it's not the real deal.
I like that. You got it built in, man. It's like when I go fishing with Dennis. He's got excuses,
Yeah. We sell a book about it. You get one. Every golfer gets one. But the top tracer is also designed to help make practice fun. Embracing some modern technology, having competition with friends, whether your friend is right next to you or if your friend's in another state. You can have friendly competition, and the goal is to have more fun. Whether you're practicing to improve or you're just practicing to play with friends, and Top Tracer will help you do both of those things.
Well, hear me out on this. So let's say my back were okay, and I wanted to come over, whether it's Pine Ridge or whether it's Mount Pleasant. Pine Ridge has the top Tracer. What would you do with my wife and I if we came out, took a lesson? I mean, I know how to hold the club and do all of that. Where do you begin with a couple of people our age? I mean, hey, I think I told you last time, Billick's fallen into golf, right? Did we talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely. We did actually. Coach
67 years old, picks up a club for the first time. He's 6'7", right? And he's out playing 5 days a week and is falling. He's a competitor, right? So he's fallen in love with it. So when I hear that, and I know how much he's made fun of golf, him and Kevin Byrne, for years and years, and that they're playing every day, living in Hilton Head, Marvin's golfing every day now out in Arizona. So, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't or couldn't or shouldn't, but if I did, I would come to you first. I mean, I really would. I wouldn't want to go at. I want to do it the right way to make sure I'm not torquing my back the wrong way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you take somebody like me, a broken down athletic supporter at the age of 53?
Well, we would definitely, we would make sure that you can physically handle it. And, as long as we keep your L4 okay and safe and don't over push it. Again, the great thing about golf is it doesn't matter what age you can start it. But, my goal would to take you and your wife. We'd go over some of the fundamentals. We get you out on the golf course as soon as possible, swinging the club. That way you get to see the challenge of it, the beauty of it, and the peacefulness of it. Once you get on the golf course, I promise you, Nestor, we'll get you hooked after a few holes. But you definitely need to have a couple fundamentals because obviously the better you can hit it, you can move along, the more fun you'll have. And then eventually we're going to turn you into a regular golfer. You'll be out here like every Thursday morning like some of the other guys golfing. That's
Norm
usually the goal.
took me down to Furnace Creek back in the 90s, right? Right after Greg Norman, urinated away that Masters, probably about 96, and 95, 96. And he took me out, and I picked it up like a baseball bat or like a tennis racket, and he said, no, you got to get that grip in there the right way. You got to let that sit in there, and then you got to lock the arm. It was a whole technique thing. It would come back to me, the whole.
Oh yeah.
Working the hips and making sure I'm square up on, but going out and improving, and how someone like you could look and say, yeah, here's some things that can make you better. Cut a couple strokes off.
Absolutely, and that's usually our goal, But my biggest goal with it is obviously we want to teach you and have you improve, but I have to make it fun for you, because the goal is, if it's not fun, you're not going to practice. But once you get out there, I'm telling you, Nestor, you'll get in. And love to hear the name Norm. That's a blast from the past. That was my
Oh, you
first
know
boss.
Norm. All
Yeah,
right.
first boss in the golf business back in the
Ah,
80s.
see that, man?
Yeah.
It's Baltimore, dude. We're all
It
connected.
is.
And tell everybody what you do out there and how they can get in touch with you. And certainly this two-man you got going on. You got to be a pretty good golfer to be involved in that, though, right?
Yes, sir. It is the two-man is what we call a scratch event. So no handicaps. So you wanna make sure you can play your ball pretty good, as we say. It's but you can get all this information on our website, classic5golf.com. I'm Ed Miller. I'm the pro over at Mount Pleasant Golf Course. So all my information also on the website. We'd ask you to give us a call if you want to learn golf, play golf, but reach out,
Or
give us a
talk
call,
golf.
check it out, or talk golf. Love to do that. Good at that usually, but reach out, get out on the links, and especially enjoy this beautiful fall weather we got coming.
Hey, man, I love having you on. It's always good to visit with you, Dave, everybody over there. Give them my best. We'll continue to start. Hey, golf, it wasn't that hot a summer, right? Like, courses
No,
are in pretty
no.
good shape. You mentioned that. It feels like the weather's breaking the right way here,
Oh
just in a
yeah.
nice. My wife and I went walking through Towson Monday, then went over to Nacho Mama's, walking around. Like, it feels like California. It feels like I'm
Yeah.
in, San Bernardino or something right now.
Yeah.
So, I
It
mean,
is
it is
beautiful.
really a beautiful time of the year. Leaves be changing soon, but nice time to hit the ball, man. Comfortable.
Absolutely.
You don't have to worry about it being 103. You can maybe rain or whatever, but for the most part, you're gonna get nice days here the next 6, 8 weeks playing golf, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it is, to me, it is the best time of year for golf. Your game's usually in pretty good shape, and the golf courses tend to get in the best shape of the year right about now. And it's pretty outside. So
Beer doesn't warm up as much either when I'm out there on the cherry pit. Ed, I appreciate you, man. Ed's over at Mount Pleasant. Take care of our friends at Classic 5. You hear about them here all the time. We talk about them, but certainly this is a great time of the year to get out. And if you want to learn how to play, Ed's always there to help you out at Mount Pleasant, as are all the pros at Classic 5. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We're bringing the Crab Cake Tour back out on the road. We'll be at Cooper's this week and maneuvering our way around the Beltway. All brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery, Goodwill, Window Nation. And don't forget, it is Restaurant Week. Get out. I mentioned nachos the other night. They had a Restaurant Week thing going on with the delicious strip steak they had going on there, and they had some spare ribs. It's nice. But Restaurant Week, take care of local, support local, all over the state of Maryland. We appreciate their sponsorship of the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore. Positive.